Do not send me an ugly picture
yeah,
of your
myself.
friend.
Look
Okay.
at my-
Has to be of you. All right. So one of my juniors sent me a really cute one from their like nursery picture where a lot of the girls were in it. It's really cute. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is just fly through all of these like I did the other day, but I'm going to do it really fast. So don't ask questions while I'm doing it. At the end of every problem, I'll say, "Do you have a question?" So no need to raise your hand while I'm talking and not listen to what I'm saying. Okay. So if you see this, f times g of x, that means to write f of x times g of x. It's a dot, okay? And they just don't want you to fill in the number. They want you to still have the x in there, okay? So I would have f of x and g of x. And then I would expect you to multiply it out. 4x to the third, 24x, 7x squared, and 42. And then I do expect you to add like terms, but none of these are alike. And so now you're finished. Most people, I told you the other day, will write it in descending order. But if you left it like that, that's fine also, as long as we all have the same things, okay? All right, number 2. 2 is f plus g of x. So I have f plus g. You did not have to write it in parentheses. In fact, I'm going to have to get rid of them to move forward. I mean, all that means right now is 5x squared minus 13 plus 8x squared plus 4. Okay? So let's take a minute and talk about something else. I'll come back to this. I'll come back to that slide in just a minute.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god.
But his face is kind of like this.
Yes, that's not a good picture.
All right. So now I can write on it.
He's like 23.
If I have 7 plus 4 plus 3 plus 9, as opposed to 7 plus 4 minus 3 plus 9. Okay? Red might be better. Let's focus on algebra for a minute. Okay? On the top, this means 7 plus 4, and it's not going to hurt anything to add 3 and 9. Down here, if you wrote this as 7 plus 4 minus 3 plus 9, you would miss it. What are you supposed to be subtracting? Just the 3? The 3 and the 9. So anytime you have a negative, you need to make sure you distribute it. Okay? That's why I put parentheses in there, so I'll remember. I don't want you to go 7 plus 4 minus 3 plus 9. The parentheses will remind me to distribute the negative sign. Okay? Which is super important. Now, I could write it like this with plus, and it just doesn't do anything. You could just drop the parentheses, because you're just going to add 3 and you're going to add 9. Okay? Parentheses are really important. So going back to this slide. I just wanted to, sorry, anyway. This is F, and this is G, and I'm just adding them together. Adding, you're just real relaxed. You don't have to worry about the signs. So it just becomes the front plus the back. And then I have 13x squared minus 9. Oh, I did something wrong. Oh, I copied it down wrong. Sorry. Sorry, I was so caught up in what I wanted to say. All right, f of x is 5x squared minus 13. And g of x was 8x cubed plus 4. So I can just add it straight across because this plus sign doesn't change anything. So I have 8x cubed in the front, 5x squared, and negative 9. All right, any questions on number 2? Daniela?
Wouldn't it be negative 13? You'd add it to the 4.
And that gives you negative 9. Do you understand that, Danielle? Negative 13 and a positive 9. Are you okay with that, Susan?
So it says like where the problems are at the very top. It says like the formula is like F plus G, but it has like minus like in the equation. So
That doesn't matter. You go find function f. Whatever it has in it is what it has in it.
but
You go find f. You go find g. And then you add those two things together.
okay, but like on the board it says like minus 13 and then it says plus 4. So like would I add 13 and 4? Would I minus 13 and 4?
Okay,
Like,
this is f,
yeah.
and this is g. And I'm adding them together. Okay? So then I wrote it out all added together. And then I added like terms. I don't have any more x cubed, so I wrote that there. I don't have any more x squareds, so I wrote that there. But these are like terms. And negative 13 and positive 4 is negative 9.
Okay.
So I don't know if I answered your question.
It was negative 13. Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry.
Okay? F of x and g of x can have anything in them. You just pull them down and add them, multiply them, divide them, or whatever you're told to do. Bailey?
So on the next slide, when you did like in red at the bottom, that I don't really understand. Couldn't you just take that as 2 plus 4 would be 6, and then 3 plus 9 would be 11, 12. So you would do like 6 minus 12.
You could. And that would be fine. But what I'm seeing some people do is if they have like x plus 4 minus x squared minus 2. Okay? If it's not numbers, I see them messing that up all the way, all over the place, like in the last class. So here, I have x plus 4. That's minus an x squared. But that's literally minus a negative 2. And so if you want to call this is a 7. If you want to call this 11 and this 12 and then subtract them, I totally agree with that. I would get negative 1. But what I'm seeing some of your friends do is if I say subtract 7 plus 4 and 3 plus 9. What's scaring me is some people are just doing that. And if you go across, you won't get the right answer. You'll get 7 plus 4 is 11, minus 3 is 8, plus 9 is 17. Not that. Because if I say subtract this from this, you're supposed to be subtracting the 3 and the what? Are you just supposed to subtract the 3? What are you supposed to subtract? The 3 and the 9. You're supposed to subtract both of those. Let's see what we get if we keep a running total. This is 11. Minus 3 is 8. What's 8 minus 9? Okay. So what Bailey and I are talking about is if you have 5 plus 2 minus 6 minus 3. Some students do what you're saying. They'll say 7 minus 3 and get 4, which Bailey's A-okay, that's right. But some students are writing it like this. 5 plus 2 minus 6 minus 3. And they're going to miss it. Because what are you supposed to subtract? The 6 and the what? The what 3? What are you supposed to subtract?
The 7 and
Whoa. You're supposed to subtract the 6
oh yeah, the 6 and
and that's not a 3. What is that?
the
Thank you. You're supposed to subtract the 6 and the negative 3. So what should that be out here? Plus. Let's see if we get the right answer. This is ginormous. That's super important. I talked about it way too long in the last class. But I can't talk about it too much because I see students do it year after year after year. If I can prevent you in the 9th grade from making this mistake, it'll save you a lot of mistakes in the future. If you're doing f of x minus g of x, if you don't put f of x and g of x in parentheses, you're going to forget to subtract all of those things back there. Okay? So this is what I'm saying. If I tell you f of x is x plus y plus z, that wouldn't make any sense. X cubed plus 4x minus 7. And g of x is x minus 4. If I ask you to do f minus g of x, some students on the next test will do this. And I hope I'm wrong more than anything. It'd be a great Christmas present to me if nobody does this, okay? But so far in my teaching career, someone always does. They'll write f of x minus g of x. And they'll miss the problem. Because they're only subtracting the what? Literally right now, when they do this, they're only subtracting the x, aren't they? Are they subtracting the negative 4? Did y'all see the problem? Watch this, girls. And maybe that's why I'm going on and on about this. Because if you have numbers, you have the luxury of getting this number and subtracting them. If you don't have numbers, that's where people mess it up. Okay? Isn't that what I want you to subtract? I didn't want you to subtract x. I wanted you to subtract the whole thing, x minus 4. So that becomes minus x and what? Plus 4. Because it's minus the x and minus the negative 4. So when you do this minus this, it's best to put it in parentheses. Bailey, if you have numbers, I agree with you. Go in and find them. Okay? But if you don't have numbers, you run a great risk. So make sure you distribute the negative sign. All right, let's go back to B. Are we on number 1B? All right, so we have f of x is 9x squared minus 9x. And g of x is negative 3x. If I do g of x minus f of x, here's g, here's f. Some of you probably missed it, okay? Be sure, one thing when I was working with a few of you in the last couple of days, and thank you so much for each one of you that reached out to me by email, by coming by the Math Center, by just meeting with me during lunch or whatever. That was great. Margot would say that I'm able to help you pretty fast by email.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing I noticed when I was working with people is make sure, don't just assume F is the first one. Okay? They said put G of X in the front. So this is G of X goes in here minus F of X. So my answer is 3x minus 9x squared. And what's that going to be? Thank you. Whoa. I'm probably just distracting to you. Thanks. Okay. That was negative 3x minus the whole entire f of x. So I get minus 9x squared. And what's minus negative 9? feel like I've written something wrong. No, I'm good. Okay. So I have negative 9x squared. And what's a negative 3x and a positive 9x? 6x. But I bet some of y'all didn't have that answer. Because you didn't, well, you maybe did f of x minus g of x. Or maybe you didn't put parentheses. You have to subtract everything behind the parentheses.
I put it in a different order. I did 6x
Yeah, I did it in a
minus-
different order.
6x minus 9x squared is fine.
Okay.
That's perfect. That's great.
Can I move back?
All right, f of x over g of x. Here's f of x over g of x. You could just leave it like that. There's some people that reduce that, which we'll work on later. As long as you just show me, you can put them over each other. Susan?
When do we in the problem, when do we know when to stop combining terms? I would probably combine those two.
Combine what?
Negative 9x squared plus 6x. I would probably combine that into negative.
Oh, they're not alike. That's what teachers mean by like terms.
I know.
There's an x squared.
Oh, there has
Have to be
square
just alike. Yeah.
And the negative.
It's really like this.
Okay.
It's like if you have how many reds do I have?
3,
How many blues?
2,
And how many greens?
1.
Okay? So how many x squareds do I have?
How many what?
I only have one of these x squares.
Oh yeah.
But you see how these are alike?
Okay, yeah.
The x's are alike.
But then how come you didn't add negative 3x and 9x? It's because
These are divided. I'm not adding. Those are
so we're not
divided.
actually solving it.
And so you would do that, you probably take from 3. Never mind.
Maria, we will learn to reduce those later. And if you already know, you can. Is that what you were saying? You could take a 3 out of everything. Okay. Next problems.
Picture.
That's not you.
You're just laughing.
All right. So, we have f of x is negative 5x cubed, and g of x is x squared plus x plus 10. Now, you add g of f of negative 2. That means they don't want you to use x's anymore. They're going to tell you what number to fill in. So I've got to find g of negative 2 and f of negative 2 and multiply them together. So let's find g of negative 2. And working with some of y'all, I would say again, parentheses are real important. Negative 2. What's negative 2 if it's in parentheses squared? Sarah? 4. Plus negative 2 plus 10. That's 2 plus 10, which is 12. So g of negative 2 is 12. Now I'm going to find f of negative 2. Negative 5x cubed. What do you do first, multiplication or exponent? Exponent. What's negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2?
Negative.
A negative times a negative times a negative. Negative 8. And so negative 5 times negative 8 gives me 40. So I found both of these. G of 2, G of negative 2, and F of negative 2. And I multiply them and I get 480. The next one is F minus G of 6. You're going to find F of 6 and subtract G of 6. F of 6 is 7x squared minus 2x. Jillian said we'll do our exponent first. 7 times 36, and 2 times 6 is 12. 7 times 36, what was that, Eliza? What did we write down for that?
It's 2.
252. Minus 12 is 240. That's f of 6. Now I'm going to find g of 6. G of 6 is 6 cubed plus 1. Some of you probably had to get out a calculator and go 6 times 6 times 6. That's 216. So that's 217. And then when you subtract those, you get 23. Okay?
What number is this?
C2. Are we okay to move on? Okay, y'all are doing great. All right, and always watch the order. I myself tend to miss them. If they say, like G in front of F, make sure you're doing the right one, okay? All right, so I'm going to find f of negative 3. F of negative 3 is negative 6x minus 12. Then I'm going to find g of negative 3, which is negative 9. Okay, this one, a negative times a negative is positive 18, minus 12 is 6. So that's f of negative 3. G of negative 3 is negative 9. What's negative 3 squared? 9. And negative 3 times negative 3. That's plus 9. That gives me negative 81 plus 9 is negative 72. So I have f of 3, negative 3, g of negative 3, 6 plus negative 72 is negative 66. Some of y'all may have missed the next one. A question on that one, Susan?
So, like in terms of the F and the G, they're both like we don't combine them right away. We solve them separately first, and then at the very end we add them.
You could combine them right away and then fill the number in later. That also works.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
All right, so let me show you, Susan. And like Bailey and I were talking about, if you combine them right away with a minus, it's pretty risky.
Yeah.
Okay, so you could have found F plus G. Okay, and I myself would have gone on and filled in the numbers, but if you didn't, you get a negative 9x squared. You get a negative 9x and a minus 12. And now you have to fill in negative 3. So you have negative 9 times negative 3 squared minus 9 times negative 3 minus 12. That gives me negative 9 times 9. This gives me positive 27 minus 12. That gives me negative 81 plus 27 minus 12. And that gives me negative 81 plus 15, which I believe is negative 66. But I find it easier to fill them in, find the number, fill in and find the number, and then do whatever I'm supposed to do with them. Okay. All right, the next one was a little bit tricky because which one did they put on top? They put the G on the top. Made it a little bit trickier. Because aren't we kind of just by habit, we probably put F on the top. Okay? So we have G of 1 over F of 1. All right, G of 1. is negative 9 times 1 squared minus 3 times 1. That's negative 9 times 1 minus 3, which is negative 12.
What question is it?
I'm on D, the second one.
Okay.
Now I'm finding f of 1. Here's f. And I fill in 1. That gives me negative 6 minus 12, which is negative 18. What's a negative over a negative? Positive. And 6 goes into 12 2 times. 6 goes into 18 3 times. I do expect you to reduce numbers. 2/3. Yana?
Okay, so then for that one, if you can solve them separately, you should solve it, but just not divide them. Yeah,
I'm sorry, say that again?
well, because you were talking about how we didn't have to actually divide the numbers, but you should still solve like g of 1 f
Yeah, when you have a number, go in and find the two numbers.
of. Okay.
When you have a number, if it's f of x over g of x, I'll let you just leave it with the x's in there. But certainly if I say f of 2 over g of 2, I want you to go find f of 2. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. With numbers, I expect you to work it. All right. The next one is f or e. You have f of x times g of x. G of x was just 8. So that gives you negative 16x plus 88. That one should have been pretty easy for you. And then the last one was not much fun. We're doing g minus f of 10. So what y'all are asking me a lot today is you could say g of x minus f of x and then fill in 10. But what's easier is to find g of 10 and f of 10, find the numbers and then subtract them. Does that make sense? So I'm going to find g of 10. Make sure you're using g. G is x minus x squared. That gives me 10 minus 100, which is negative 90. Then I'm going to find f of 10. F is 4x squared minus 1. X is 10. That gives me 4 times 100 minus 1. 400 minus 1 is 399. So be sure you take G and subtract F. Oh, that's 90, I'm sorry. G of 10 minus F of 10. And that gave you the negative 489. All right, so now I've gone over 2 complete worksheets doing the same thing to hopefully make it make sense to you. You've got the dates on them now, I think, which also should help when I give you a review for a test we'll have after Christmas. All right, any questions on this because we're moving on to a new topic? Okay, Gracia?
Well, I'm confused with C2.
Okay, on C2,
Yeah.
here it is right here. C2 was right here in red.
Okay.
All right, it's at F minus G of 6. So, Gracia, I found F of 6. And then I found G of 6. And I subtracted them.
Okay.
When I just filled in 6. And that gave me 252 minus 12, which is 240. This one gave me 216 plus 1, which was 217. And it told me to subtract them. So, do you want to be more specific on what you're confused on?
Well, I think I got the kind of the multiplication or addition not wrong, but
maybe I set it up wrong because well, I guess I can just check over and make sure I did it right.
Yeah, or just come by. You know, I don't. Do you have a class right after this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Or just right after school, swing by and we'll look at it together. Because it may be what we call an order of operation. A lot of you have heard of PEMDAS.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a problem like that,
Yeah.
which we need to fix because it won't go away.
Yeah.
So just come by and we'll do it slowly
Okay.
together. Margot,
Can I go to the bathroom?
Yana.
So for the last problem, like E2. So I wrote it down. So okay, so for example, like it was what the f of x is equal to 4x squared minus 1. So when we were filling in 10, I wrote so like the whole thing in parentheses and then the 10 in parentheses minus 10 in parentheses squared. So like I just, and that's fine to write it like that, right? I just wrote like 2 overall parentheses.
Yeah. Did you get negative 489?
Yes. I did.
Yes. Yeah. That's fine. Okay? All right. So now you and your neighbor are going to each be given a board. It'll be like, I don't know if you've ever seen like a game show, but we've done it here before. I'm going to give you and your friend something to do so that way you're not on your own and scared you're going to hold up the wrong number. Okay? And if you hold up the wrong number, I've got things wrong before in this class, so we'll be okay with it. We'll just fix it, okay? But you'll be highly participating in what we're about to do. So let me make sure everybody had. Do you want to be with which one? And you want the last one? And do Oh, well you go. Oh wait, so you'll have Margaret. Because I thought girls see made us an even number. Make sure it works. When you grab your marker, make sure it works. Make sure it works. You just need one marker. Make sure your marker works. And I can come by with another one. Make sure your marker works. Why now?
Susan, can we have one?
Yeah, handy it.
Probably should have thrown one. Okay.
This is the last.
All right, now, what we're about to do, thank you, Susan. What we're about to do, I think you've done before. And let me tell you that you'll feel this way somewhat all the way through high school and college and maybe after that. And then I remember when I sat in Algebra 2 thinking, well, that's my Algebra 2 teacher talking about math, I learned in Algebra 1. But math is a language. I don't know if y'all know that or not, but math is a language. And in so many different ways. In fact, that's how they program this. But, think about your French class. It's not like in French 2, you're not going to ever talk about French 1, what you learn in French 1. So what happens is this like rolling educational ball of yarn. And so your teachers will keep picking up things, like right now we're about to talk about lines. But in calculus, I'm still talking about lines. And so at first you'll go, wait, we already know this. But just hang on, okay? And the good news is, if you didn't learn it very well, at least we'll get it this time and then move forward. All right, so here is the game we're playing. Okay, so our equation that I want you to fill into is f of x equals 3x. Let's make it 2x plus 4, okay? And Jillian and Evelyn, you're going to be finding f of, see how many groups I have, 8, f of -3. This is Jillian and Evelyn, okay? This is Ella and Margot. You're finding f of -2. Claire and Grazia, you're finding f of -1. Okay, Bailey and Danielle, are y'all a group? You're f of 0. Alright, and Susan and Yana, y'all are f of 1. And f of 2 is Eliza and Maria. F of 3 is Rebecca and Sarah. And guess what? Victoria and Gabby are. F of 4.
Actually, 4. I'm looking on this side. Look, 2. 4. Thank you.
Alright, so take a minute. If you're nervous about holding up your number, you can have me check it first. Okay, y'all ready? Okay. I need an, do you have an answer? Okay. Yeah, I'll hold it up in a minute. Okay, so that's -0. Which one's big?
Well,
Yeah.
so then it'd be
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, no. Wait. 0.
What y'all have -2?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, that's very cute. Alright, girls, look. What we're going to do, and we'll do this again in a little while, okay? So you'll get to erase your board and do another one in just a second. But you'll keep the same. I'm going to change the equation. But you'll keep all the same so we don't have to redo all this. Alright, I want you to all put your pencils down. I know your markers are really fun. Put your markers down. And let's close our computers. Okay? And just watch as we go around the room, especially as I do the first couple. All right. So Jillian and Evelyn had f of -3. If they'll hold up their number for us all to see. Okay. Now watch what I'm doing. Y'all see I tell them to find f of -3, and they got -2. Did y'all see you can also write it as a point? Okay. We're going to have to be doing this soon. So they filled in -3 and they got -2. Okay? And did you see it show up there? Okay? Alright. So the next group filled in -2 and they got 0. And watch the dot. See the dot appears. Okay? So what you've been finding all this time is points. Alright, Claire and Grazia, f of -1 is 2. Okay. Daniela?
4.
4. All right. F of 1?
6.
6. F of 2?
8.
8. F of 3? 10. And F of 4? Hold up your thing just so it's fun. Thank you. Woo. All right, 12. Oops. Okay. There's a lot of dots that I could have had you find that would not make a line. Okay? But what's special about this, I want y'all to notice a couple of things. First of all, let me put in the equation that we did. All right, I did 2x plus 4. You did great, didn't you?
Wow.
Okay. Now, I didn't know this at your age. Maybe you do know this. When I drew the line, I just thought I was connecting those dots. But what happens is if we had 512 people in here, and I found 512 points, like at 1.1, at 1.2, at 1.3, they would also have been on that line. And all the little dots would be so close together, that's why it makes that line. Does that make sense to some of y'all?
Yeah.
If we kept just finding all these silly dots, they would just be right next to each other. And they would make a line. Alright? Where do you notice the line? What is the y-intercept? Bailey?
I think it's 4.
Great. So she remembers from the last test, her y-intercept is 0, 4, right? And how much did these change by? 2. My slope as you go all the way through calculus is a rate of change. It's actually going, and this probably will sound familiar to you, up to over 1. Have y'all done rise over run?
Yeah.
So I could graph this really by doing this. Okay? By the way, just so you know, I just did the same exercise, similar exercise, with my pre-calculus class. And it wasn't as much fun as the one you just did. Because it gave each group 20 points to find. And they were getting really tired of it. But I obviously wanted to do it to make a point of, you don't want to keep doing that. You don't want to spend your test time finding 20 points and connecting the dots. They were finding points like this. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. And on and on and on. Like, they were finding all these little dots and pointing them, and then I made them connect the dots, and way on down the road, down their table of 20 points, they ran into one like this. So they were just finding numbers like you did and connecting the dots. And then I said, but I'm going to teach you how to graph. I don't know if you know what trig functions are. And do you see how it's going through their dots that they were finding? Okay? My point to them is they realized they didn't need to find 20 dots. all they needed to find was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they'll repeat over and over again. Okay? I just taught you a tiny bit of trigonometry. Let's get rid of that.
Triple what?
Trigonometry.
That's what Mary did in
Trig.
You, what grade do you have?
Mary,
Yeah.
I had her last year in AP Calculus BC in the 8th grade.
Oh, really?
And she made a 5, the highest score you can make on the AP exam.
She was so nice.
So nice.
She was like in
God, very.
Okay, girls.
We were doing second.
So look up here. Okay? Hey, hello.
Hi.
All right, thank you. Hi. All right. So on test day and on your homework, when I say to graph a line, first of all, how will you know it's a line? It'll be what we call a first degree equation. Like Susan and I were talking about a little while ago. Do you see that there's no squares in here? There's no cubes? If I square something, we'll learn it this year. And I'll teach you how to graph them fast. They always look like this. X cubes always look like this. And so on. Okay? A line will always happen if you have an x to the first. It'll always line up. And what you don't want to have to do on homework is find all those points and connect the dots. If you could just do what y'all showed me, what Bailey mentioned. Bailey and I could look at this and go, like these girls did, I can fill in 0 in my head until I get 4. So here's our y-intercept. And what's my slope? It was 2, but I need a rise over run, which I think you've all heard that word before.
Yeah.
So I needed a 2, so it's 2 over what? 2 over, no, 2 isn't it just 2 over 1? You see what I mean? Like if you just have 6 sitting there, you need a fraction. So it's 6 over 1, okay? So what you could do is just go forward, and then go up 2 and over 1, and then draw your line. Wouldn't you much rather do that? Okay? All right, let's do another one. Changing the equation. You ready? All right, so now you're doing negative 3x minus 3. Now you're doing negative 3x minus 3. So erase your boards and get all your numbers. Negative 3x minus 3.
Like this.
Agree with your partner.
All of them?
Just your appointed number. Gabby, help her. Yes, because I said so. Is yours positive or negative? Are you filling in? Oh wait, you had negative 2. I'm sorry, you're right. You're right. I thought y'all were the one with the 0. Y'all, what's your number? Negative 1. Okay, so we can have. That's right. Negative 3. Wait, y'all should be busy, right?
Yeah.
What's 3 times 6?
Oh my god.
0 minus negative 3.
There you go.
That was very
It's been a long day. Okay. All right, here we go. -3? 6. All right, hold up your board. Okay. Claire and Gracia. All right, Bailey.
Negative 3.
All right. All right, Yana. What'd y'all get? -6. Are they lining up, girls? -9. -12. Thank you. All right. So here's our equation. -3x minus 3. We did really good. All right, however, when I give these to you, we'd all much prefer for you to do this. Your y-intercept, watch this. If you fill in 0 for x, it disappears, right, girls? Hey, everybody needs to be watching. Okay? Y-intercept happens when x is 0. All right? So if I fill in 0 for x, I get -3. So that's my y-intercept. And then my slope is down 3 over 1. So from my y-intercept, I'm going to go down 3 and over 1. And then I can connect my dots. Do y'all see that this slope is negative? A whole lot of y'all in here ski. And you ski on slopes, right? Okay? So it really means that. Do you see if, okay, listen up. Or even if you ride bikes, if you're in Central Park, you have these hills that have a slope. Girls, I really need you to focus. Thank you. Okay? Wouldn't this person go down?
Yes.
My slope is negative. Your equation should be going down. And the last one, we had something like this. And if you put your person over here, they're going up, and it was positive. Listen, because this might happen to you. Some people say, well, Miss Lazari, it all depends on how you look at it. If you put me over here, I'll go down. Okay? Look. Claire, listen up. How do you read from left to right? How do you write? From left to right. I want you to always read your graphs from left to right. Okay? Isn't this graph going down? From left to right. All right, now, you don't have to do this right this minute. The next thing I'm going to do is go to Delta Math. No, absolutely not. I know who asked. Whoever asked, no. All right, okay. So, these you don't have to bother with. I'll probably delete them. But your homework is on lines. So let me show you what you're going to do. You got to watch this. So I won't have 16 questions about it. Or one question because someone's not looking. Okay? All right, so it says to graph the equation of y equals -1/5 x minus 4. My y-intercept is -4. Did y'all see it just gave me a dot there? Okay? Now, what's my slope? Rise over run. Go up 1 and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
If it's negative 5.
The slope is positive. It should be going up. And so I'm going to submit my answer. And we got it right. All right, new problem. What's the y-intercept? 3. And I'm going to go up 1 and over 1, 2, 3. and then submit. So that'll be fun. All right? And wait, and we're not through. Okay? So here, I'm going to write y equals, what's my y-intercept? -7. But I need to put my slope in front of that. And I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 4, up 4, over 3. Okay? Bye.
It's right there. It's right there.
Hang on, I can't get out of this. Oh, there. All right, hang on just a minute. I'm trying to get out of this. There. Just a second.
Yeah, my favorite.